How could one arrival create such chaos? JIN BTS's classic style may explain it. The shock was instantaneous, an eruption of sound, motion, and disbelief that rippled through Incheon International Airport the moment Jin stepped into view. How could a single arrival unravel the composure of one of Asia's busiest travel hubs? And more importantly, what was it about Jin's classic, almost minimalist aesthetic that commanded such overwhelming attention? Observers quickly realized the answer was not found in spectacle, but in precision. Jin appeared in the terminal with a calmness so deliberate that it disarmed the crowd before it electrified them. The sharply tailored coat, the clean white shirt, the carefully parted hair, all formed an image so refined it felt almost anachronistic. This was not airport fashion. It was a masterclass in visual restraint, a stylistic pivot that raised more questions than it answered. Witnesses reported that the atmosphere shifted immediately upon his entrance. Security teams tightened formation, camera shutters fired in rapid succession, and fans surged forward, not out of disorder, but out of awe. It was the kind of reaction typically reserved for grand premieres or national ceremonies. Yet here it unfolded in an airport lobby, proof that the phenomenon was not merely Jin's presence, but the precision with which he presented himself. Experts in cultural studies have noted that Jin's appeal lies in a unique intersection of celebrity, nostalgia, and aesthetic discipline. His look that morning reflected a deliberate departure from the loud, hypermodern trends dominating global pop culture. Instead, he leaned into timelessness, double-breasted tailoring, monochromatic balance, and a deliberate calmness that evoked icons of mid-century cinema. In a world saturated with high-impact visuals, Jin chose elegance, and paradoxically, that made him impossible to ignore. Fans in attendance described feeling frozen, overwhelmed, and unprepared for the intensity of the moment. Many had expected excitement, but not the emotional weight that accompanied his return. This was his first major public appearance since completing military service, an absence that had heightened anticipation to near mythic levels. When he finally arrived, the reality exceeded the expectation. His style didn't shout, it whispered. And in that whisper, thousands felt something stir. What deepened the chaos was the symbolic nature of the moment. Jin's classic style was not random. It seemed to signal a restoration, a return not only to public life, but to artistic identity. Analysts observed that the restrained fashion suggested maturity, stability, and renewed confidence. This was a reintroduction, not a reappearance. And the crowd responded with reverence bordering on disbelief. Airport staff noted that the intensity of the reaction forced temporary adjustments to foot traffic flow. Several gates reported short delays as fans and media clustered to catch a glimpse. Yet, despite the logistical strain, the atmosphere remained strangely orderly. The chaos was not destructive but emotional, a collective outpouring magnified by Jin's quiet poise. Even more striking was Jin's ability to navigate the environment without losing composure. He walked with controlled grace, offering soft waves and subtle bows that amplified the emotional charge of the moment. His classic styling served as a visual anchor, projecting steadiness amid unpredictability. In this way, the fashion was not merely aesthetic, it was communicative. Observers have since debated whether the chaos was inevitable or engineered by the sheer potency of Jin's image. Could another public figure have produced the same effect? Cultural analysts argue no. Jin's influence is uniquely shaped by his dual identity, global superstar and deeply grounded individual. His classic style did more than beautify. It legitimized the moment, infusing it with symbolic density. By the time he approached the waiting vehicle, the terminal had transformed into a theater of emotion. Fans cried openly, security whispered into radios, and journalists scrambled to capture every angle. Jin paused briefly, placing a hand over his heart in a gesture that sent another wave of reaction through the crowd. It was an understated movement, yet it triggered a surge of cheers that echoed across the airport walls. As the van pulled away, a hush settled over the space, as if the environment itself were recalibrating. The chaos had ended, but the resonance remained. Analysts later described the event as a textbook study in how visual presentation amplifies celebrity influence. Jin's classic style did not merely complement the moment, it defined it. The aftermath of Jin's arrival at Incheon Airport did more than dominate headlines. It sparked debates, speculations, and emotional reactions that continued to echo across social media. But as the dust settles, one essential question remains: how much of what we saw, read, and believed is truly accurate? And perhaps more importantly, why are we so ready to accept certain narratives without questioning the possibility of exaggeration or even fabrication? Many fans describe the moment as historic, unbelievable, or once in a lifetime. But have we paused to ask ourselves, did the event truly unfold in the explosive magnitude circulating online, or has digital media amplified it beyond its original scale? When videos undergo editing, when captions dramatize, when algorithms prioritize sensational content, how much of the truth survives the transformation? This leads to a deeper provocation. Are we witnessing facts, or consuming stories crafted to trigger clicks, emotions, and viral engagement? It is a question worth considering, especially as content from TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and other platforms spreads faster than it can be verified. And if millions react before confirmation, does perception become truth by sheer volume? Let's reflect more critically. The descriptions of chaos might make us imagine uncontrollable crowds, disorder, and airport-wide disruption. But what if the so-called chaos was simply a tightly framed video, cut to heighten drama? What if the emotional reactions were magnified because viewers wanted to believe they were witnessing something monumental? Does our desire for spectacle shape the way we interpret these moments? Furthermore, the discussion about Jin's classic style, his refined coat, his gentle demeanor, his confident posture, raises another question. Are we admiring genuine elegance, or consuming a stylized narrative designed to reinforce his iconic image? And even if the style is authentic, how much of our emotional response is fueled by years of idolization, media framing, and collective expectation? These questions are not meant to diminish Jin's influence or the significance of his public return. Instead, they challenge us to examine how narratives about celebrities are built, circulated, and consumed. When fans share clips with captions like "unreal," "insane chaos," or "Jin shut down the airport," do we stop to evaluate the accuracy? Or do we let the emotional momentum carry us into belief? It is also essential to consider the motivations behind the content we consume. Could some of these dramatic narratives be intentionally shaped to attract attention? If a video gains millions of views because it suggests that Jin caused airport chaos, who benefits from that virality? Is it the fans? The creators? The platforms? Or is it the media outlets that rely on sensational titles to survive the competition for clicks? And here comes the most uncomfortable question. Is it possible that some of this story is, at least partially, a hoax? Not necessarily a complete fabrication, but an exaggeration, an embellished moment repackaged as a dramatic spectacle? When information travels faster than verification, when emotional reactions overpower analytical thinking, aren't we all vulnerable to believing things that may not be entirely true? We must remember that the information we have gathered comes from various online sources: TikTok edits, YouTube reactions, Twitter threads, fan accounts, and emerging articles. But none of these sources guarantee accuracy.